All right, everyone, I am filming a tutorial video for the Speedier lab. So first, I want to point out that my meter stick is set up so that it's pretty close to the ramp. It also is the ends are clearly not blocked by anything. I am not going to film at an angle like this or like this. And instead, I am going to make sure that I am far back enough that I get the full length of the ramp, but that my iPad and the ramp make two parallel lines, as if someone was looking from the ceiling down. They would see the iPad and the ramp as parallel lines. I am not going to move like this to film the cart. I am going to keep my iPad totally stationary. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change to slow motion video. That's really important. You also are going to maybe need to back up a little bit because the slow motion zooms in. When I'm ready to record, I'm going to record and then tell my partner to go ahead. That's important. So you also will notice that in this video that I took for the data that I am pushing up the cart multiple times. That's going to be pretty normal. You can just keep recording until you feel like you've gotten a good data point, like that one. So now that I know which one I'm going to use, I'm going to double check to make sure it's all in slow motion, which it is. Then I'm going to move this. I'm going to crop my video. So this is the data point I want. I'm going to crop my video so that time starts when my hand lets go of the cart. So here my hand is still on the cart. Here my hand is off the cart. So that's my first point. The end does not matter. You can drag that side all the way to the end. And then you're going to hit done. And I'm going to save it as a new clip just to make sure. So now that I have this new clip, I'm going to make sure that time starts when my hand leaves the cart, which it does. It's all in slow motion. Then I'm going to go to pivotinteractive.com. And I'm going to scroll to the video settings. I'm going to change the recorded frame rate to 120. That's very important because we recorded in slow motion. I'm going to choose File and browse your photo library. Because I just cropped my video, I know that it's the most recent one, but I'll double check. Yep, that's the one because it only has the one trial. The end part doesn't matter. You can hit Use, and then you're going to need to hit Update. When you hit update, you should see the video populate. If you don't, that's a problem. That means you maybe didn't hit update. All right, so we have a lot of settings that we need to make sure that we are setting. The first thing is that we need to make sure we have our scale set. So the scale button, it looks kind of like a barbell, but it ends up looking like an arrow. And you can zoom in, but you're just going to drag your scale on your video to the edges of your meter stick. And you want to really adjust so that the very tip of the arrow is the very end of your meter stick. Now I need to tell Pivot that this is 1 meter in length. So I write 1M. I don't want to write 100 centimeters because I want my data to be in meters. So now that I have that, I'm going to set my position 0 to be the bottom of the track. So to do that, I'm going to need to spin this ruler a bit so that 0 meters is at the bottom of the track. And so I'm going to have to read kind of upside down. I'm going to use the front of the car as my kind of post. So I need to make sure though first that my ruler is totally parallel to the ramp. So it needs to spin just a little bit more until it's parallel to the ramp. That looks close. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to drag my 0 meters until it's at the front of the car. I'm going to have my timer start here. And then, now that I have my time data, I can get position data as well by reading that ruler upside down. I can change the color if it makes it easier for me to see. So I think I'm going to change it to red because I think red will be the easiest for me to see against the white and the black background. I'm going to toggle off now the scaling so that I just don't have that on there, and I make sure that I don't change the scale while I'm working. And the next piece, we need 8 to 10 data points, and we want to make sure that our data has equal time intervals, and since I want 10 data points, I need to determine what time interval will give me 10 data points, and I can use the same time interval the whole time. So I'm going to scroll until the very end of my video, and the end of my video is going to be when there's still no interference with the hand. So for this particular video, if I'm only going to the top of the ramp, that is 33 frames. So 33 frames, you can also do this by frames, or 0.275 seconds. If I have 33 frames of data and I want 10 data points, that would mean I'm taking, at least, I'm taking a data point every 3 frames. So that's what I'm going to do, which I now need to figure out how much time is elapsing. So at 0 seconds, that's going to be my first data point. My position is also going to be 0. And then I'm going to forward with this button that kind of looks like a fast forward button. I'm going to click it 1, 2, 3 times. So we're at 0.025 seconds. Oops. And the position of the front of my car is at 0.14. And next I'm going to fast forward another 3 frames. So 1, 2, 3. Now I'm at 0.05 seconds. And if you can tell, my time is going to elapse by the same amount every time. So I can just start to fill in my data. And I'm going to add my rows before I get to the bottom, actually, because if you noticed, I had to erase one of my 0.1 is still there, but I'm not going to use that 0.1 because I couldn't click insert row below on my very last row. And I think that will be my last row. So I can go back up and take my third data point, which the car looks like it's right, the front of the car is right at 0.22. It's really just right on there. So for velocity, I am going to change the column formula, and I'm going to use rate of change of the y variable, which is going to be x, to the x variable, which is going to be t. So again, I'm going to do that again. So rate of change button. And how we get to that screen is next to velocity. We click the 3 dots, and then we change the column formula. We're going to use rate of change. and it says rate of change of the y variable to the x variable. We want to click the y variable, which in our case, our graph is going to be position on our y-axis. So position is our y-axis variable, and time is going to be on our x-axis, so that's our x-axis variable. And then you click submit. So what this does is it automatically is going to calculate the rate of change for you, which is really nice as you keep going, as you keep collecting data every 3 frames. So 0.075 seconds, that looks like it's right at 0.33. And again, see, it's just populating that velocity column so you don't have to do the calculations yourself. I hope that this tutorial video was helpful for graphing. Your graph should auto-populate. When you are ready to make another graph, you will add a graph right here. So again, underneath the position graph, you'll just click the button Add Another Graph. You can change this to velocity just by clicking on the axis. Same thing with the horizontal axis, just click on the button and then you can change the data to time. And it'll just auto-populate that graph for you as you collect more and more data.